have time to read your email at all. Let me ask you a couple questions. One is, does this system, I need to frame what we're doing. We're having an event, and there are people have been asked to attend this event or to listen to speeches?
Yes.
Okay. So, in order to use your system, does everyone have to have one of these?
Yeah, we did a research, and usually there is a big percentage of people who have either a mobile phone, a tablet, or a laptop on these events, and they need to have one of these three. Doesn't matter which one. But if they don't have, we have a backup solution. You can print the feedback form and manually enter it. But it basically, if 90% of the people have mobile phones, only 10% don't have, they can just print the feedback form for the 10% that don't, and they can then manually fill down them into the system.
So if you go back to the no part,
Yes.
Yeah.
you had age there
Yes.
as a problem, meaning older people having a problem. Well, older people like me will have a problem with this because they may, first of all, they may not have one. Second of all, they may not be able to figure out how to use this. So do you have a training session that you have as well on your software?
We thought about that, and we figured that the event assistant can actually spend the last couple of minutes to explain how it works and simply what to do on your mobile device. And the design is aimed to be simple and easy to use. So no complex thing, how am I going to use it?
Yeah, she will educate them. Like they have 15 minutes to play some live music, shows how to fill the feedback form,
Okay.
and then everyone have time.
Because I think you need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially for older people that may not be familiar with exactly how to use this program. How do you get the program on here? For me, if I come to this meeting, how do I get your program on my
Okay,
phone?
so everyone, as we know, during the event gets a badge, right?
Yeah.
So at the back of your badge, you get a QR code. And actually, you scan it with your phone camera, and it pops up your personalized page, and you just fill it from.
Yeah, no need to install anything. It's just
Exactly, it's web-based. It's not an application, it's web-based.
Okay. You said that people that didn't have this could have a paper form, but
Yes.
then on there it says there's low participation. So the people that get the paper, you hope will fill it out.
Yeah.
They're not filling it out now, according to this, but you hope they will if they're just sitting there with everybody else.
Yes.
That will work as well. Finally, let me just mention one thing. What the event person has to have, and therefore you have to make sure they have, since if it doesn't work, you're going to get blamed as well as the event person. And this, the same word of mouth that you're talking about, getting new customers, is going to be against you if this doesn't work. There is a system now called, I don't know if you know it, called BidPal, which operates with these. And that is for bidding at auctions for our not-for-profit gala dinners, which we have here for fundraising money, where they have an auction for items. And I was at one of those last year. First thing is that when you got there, they gave everybody one of these, which they had programmed themselves. So they gave it to you. The second was that about 15 minutes into the auction, they all stopped working. And that was a big problem. And it was their fault because their server, their modems and so on went off. So the person who was running this had to get up on the stage and announce the problem that he was having with his system. So imagine what I think about his system, and do I want to do? All I'm trying to tell you is that you'll be responsible for the quality control to make sure the equipment that they're using to do whatever they're doing works. Okay, otherwise, I think it's an interesting proposition that it's like the bid pal. It makes it easier for the person to accomplish what you want, which is getting all the statistics about the meeting. So I think it's a good idea. I think you have to watch out for some of these other areas.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I too think it was a terrific presentation. It's easy to follow. You had good visuals that were helpful in reinforcing what you said, but they weren't loaded with a lot of information that I'm trying to read while I'm not listening to you. So I really commend you on that. In my past experience with these sessions, there was so much on there that I was still trying to read this, and you were trying to tell me something much more important. So I commend you on this, on the presentation itself. I want to go into the competition a little more. Could you describe what the biggest competition, SurveyMonkey, how does that work? Is that an electronic thing that I fill out?
Yes. So they have, you can subscribe for their service, and they provide you an administration account, and you can create these forms on your own. But their main advantage is analyzing this data, export to Excel, for example, export to some other system, and basically analyzing the data. Our focus is on capturing the data, and that's how we differentiate. They have a lot of questions, a lot of pre-formed like forms or questions you may ask on sex events, but all of them are ABC or free comments or something very not so interactive, not so user intuitive, and not so creative as our capturing method of the data.
Okay, so they have a function you don't have, which is the data analysis.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just focus on what they have for data capture, which is where you are, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you told me, but maybe I didn't get it. How does their data capture work?
They have several forms of questions, and you can just fill the question and add answers.
Paper?
No, digital. It's once again
Digital. They require the respondent to have a phone
Yes.
Or
Or
tablet
laptop.
or laptop.
or a laptop. Well, I think starting with medical is a good idea because most of the people there will come with laptops, I guess, regardless of whether they're even an old doctor. I think that's a good place to start. I agree with Carl. The difficulty in using one of these things could give you a problem. If you debug that, if you get really good at that, and are you planning to sell yourself to SurveyMonkey? How long do you think you're going to be in this business?
Yes.
We made a projections for 5 years, and after that there are a couple of options: going to an IPO or selling us to some, because there's clearly demand for buying out in this sector.
I would be careful. One of the things that would concern me is that it does not cost you much to get into this business. It's pretty, I mean, they have to be as smart as you are, but the ease of entry is pretty easy. So I think you could, if you start developing this market, I think you can expect a lot of competition. And therefore, I don't say your business won't go, but your price assumptions might be a little high when you're faced. I mean, right now you're not competing on price. You'd be competing on function, right?
Yes.
Yes.
A year or two down the road, everybody might have the function, and you'd be competing on price. So you either have to stay ahead of the game on function, or adjust your financial model to a lot of price competition. Just an observation. I think your marketing plan is a good one. you're selling to event planners, not to the end users. So there's fewer people you have to get. And if you get a really big, effective event planner, initial sales is very efficient. Have either of the existing competitors, are they marketing through event planners? Or they're not going for events?
We spoke with.
Question,
Yeah.
how does the competition work?
How is the competition?
Market.
How does the competition work?
Okay. So for RayMonkey, they are marketed basically horizontally. They use feedback forms for everything, not only for events, and the other platforms as well. So basically, they're marketed horizontally, while we are a little bit vertically into the event organizer community.
Do they have a sales force?
Yes, they do. They do.
And how do they pay that sales? One of the things you need to do is really understand your competition. Know everything you can about their business. 2 reasons. Number one, because you may be facing a challenge you don't know. Number 2, because you may learn something that you copy legally. I think it's a good idea. My guess is that 3 years from now, everybody's going to be expecting this, because those paper forms they're expensive and usually useless, because you can't read them and there's not much on them. I was really impressed with the thing where you could
More face.
not digitally, but I can move this around so I can pick it. I mean, A, it's more precise than the A through E that you give you. I don't think that's the point, because you don't need that kind of precision, and my finger doesn't give you that kind of precision anyway. But yeah. Most listeners, I think it's a gadget.
They also have a voice recognition.
Yeah, we have a voice recognition.
So he can speak to it, and then he will write the comments.
I'll tell you, who's going to write the software? You're going to buy the voice recognition software? 'Cause
I did this for 5 hours.
no, the voice recognition.
Voice recognition, it's we use a Google free platform for doing that. So basically, you have add a comment here, and you can either add a comment with the keyboard or just press like here and say the presentations was absolutely great.
Okay, so does absolutely great have to be red, or is the system going to translate it into an A? Look, you guys are obviously really smart. You're smart technologically, and you're smart business-wise. But just keep in mind, there's a lot of smart people out there. And you're good. This is not something that your initial thing is going to hold. You're going to have to be figuring new ways to compete all the time, which is not to discourage you.
But they've, in the last 5 weeks, they've changed the idea based on the customer feedback, so they've made a lot of iterations, but I think it's a good point.
An interesting point is that most of these, if not all, we haven't come to all of them, at this stage, I think last year the same, but now are apps. They're ideas for apps. In our day, competition was, you looked at your competition and you saw whether or not it was difficult or easy to compete. Ease of entry is what Vic said, that Mr. Goldberg said. Ease of entry of apps, to me, is that all it takes is brains, and you haven't got, there's no lot of equipment, there's not a lot of capital. Lots and lots of people of your age especially are doing this. So as Vic says, you have to keep revising it, you have to keep making it better, you have to do something to keep yourself ahead of the competition, because it's easier today than it used to be to get into competition.
On the other hand, go do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Go do it. And you'll learn a lot.